All right, what's going on, guys? This is episode 2 of the DoubleDouble podcast. Got Husani in the
We
building.
made it.
Marcos. Episode 2. We haven't been canceled yet.
I don't know who will cancel us, but
yeah, exactly. I've been an incredible feat. All right, so we're talking about today the big Celtics-Cavs trade that happened. What was it now? 2 days ago? 3 days ago? On the 22nd.
It's crazy, man.
So we both had initial opinions. We were texting back and forth the day it happened, and
well, you broke the news to me, man. I don't know if I told you that. You broke the news to me, man. I went for a run. I played some ball. I was playing some ball when Kyrie was getting traded to go play some ball in Boston. And I saw your text, and I thought you were shitting me. I'm like, nah, that's not. I was like, that's not how things work. Like, you don't really trade your best player to your direct rival. And then I looked on Twitter real quick, and I was like, oh. I was like, all right. I was like, that's not really a good look. Yeah, I guess LeBron's their best player, but the second best player, sure.
Yeah, my initial thoughts were it was a good trade for the Celtics, but not great. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it was good, and I still stand by that. I think it was good, just not like phenomenal or great.
What the hell would make it great then?
I know you're in the camp, but that was a great trade for the Celtics.
You needed LeBron. I think it was a great trade for both teams. I think it was a great trade for Boston, and I think it was probably as good as Cleveland could have realistically done, and it allows them to kind of dip their toes into the present and the future, depending on what LeBron does or whatnot. Let's go for the Boston side first, and then we'll go from Cleveland. What more did you need Boston to get in that trade, or not give up?
Well, that's the thing. It's in a vacuum, I think in a vacuum, if you say, hey, we just trade Kyrie for Irving, for Thomas, Crowder, Zizic, and that Brooklyn pick, say, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But in relation to what else has happened this summer and in the past few months, and with the fact that they knew that Kyrie was, moving, was going out, and just like how little the Wolves gave up for Butler and all those other moves, it just seems like, obviously I'm not in that room. I can't, obviously Danny Ainge probably got the best deal possible at that time, but it just seems like they gave up a lot more than those other teams. And that's why I say it wasn't a great move. In terms of everything else that happened on the Boston side, it's good for them, in terms of they don't have to deal with making that decision on Isaiah. It opens up that Crowder move, opens up minutes for the younger wings on that team. And we don't know what Ante is. Like, he apparently played great in Europe, but I don't know. Summer League, I wasn't very impressed. And
so it's not a great move for you because they didn't completely have a bank heist on Cleveland.
Well, that's
this thing
my
needed
definition
to be a highway
of
robbery for it to be a great move.
Well, okay. Essentially, that would be a great move. Yeah, that'd be in terms of moving forward. I think that's a move that front office decided. Hey, we're not going to pay Isaiah the max, so that they wanted to get something for him, and they did, and that was the price. So that was a good move in that aspect. But in terms of just in relation to what other stars have gone for recently, like their market value for Butler and George, and even if you go back as far as Cousins, like that wasn't.
You go all the way back as far as Dwight Howard. Yes, there hasn't been any stars recently, or maybe even ever, that have gotten traded for anything that they're worth. It's kind of how it happens, right? You mainly just trade them for pieces and whatnot.
Okay, there's a difference between like getting paid what you're worth, because like that's so. It's so subjective, and it's like so crazy. Like different teams value different players different ways, but I don't think anybody outside of apparently Chicago felt like that was a good return for Butler. Like that
No,
you
yeah,
mentioned it.
no
You
way.
mentioned that's
Same
why
thing with
the
Paul
Wolves are
George.
exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
Same
I'm
thing
not
with Paul
saying,
George. Those were all poor trades,
and
but
that was
they were
so
they were in
recent. So
different circumstances,
that's
and they were ignorant too. Like they could have gotten probably more from Boston, but they refused to, I guess, trade him in the same conference, or whatever. Cleveland kind of broke all the rules with this trade, where they said we're not only trading him the same conference, we're trading him to our biggest opponent.
yeah.
Like that kind of stuff like never happens. Like Cleveland or Indiana didn't even want to ship him from like Indiana to for 1 year to Boston on a possibility of a
Allegedly,
rent. Like there's a lot of factors there.
allegedly, that's the
Allegedly,
reason.
like
Yeah.
come on, man. Like, you out of your mind. If you get that pick, like, yeah, I'm shipping him off there instead of getting Victor Oladipo's wag ass contract. I, I think, yes, stars have been going for a lot less than what Kyrie went for. I don't think any of those players are necessarily as good as Kyrie is, and I still think y'all got the better end of the deal here, short term and definitely long term. That's a matter of fact. I mean, you just have to make sure you re-sign Kyrie 2 years from now, which as long as you win and do all that stuff, I'm sure he'll be fine. But I don't see.
I don't think it's a definite long term. I think it just depends on what that pick turns out to be. If it turns out to be like they trade that for somebody else or a new player, or if it turns out to be like a transcendent player in the draft. So I think that's hard to tell. You know.
Sure, yes, if that pick is the next LeBron, yeah, but that's not. I don't. I'm pretty comfortable with saying on this podcast we could rewind to 2, 3, 5 years now. Maybe I'll be wrong. That pick will not be the next LeBron James. Like that pick, I don't even think Brooklyn's going to be. I think there's teams out there that are going to be worse than Brooklyn this year. Like I'd be
I
shocked.
agree.
I wouldn't be shocked if Brooklyn isn't a top 5 worst team in the league, like a bottom 5 team. Like I would not be shocked by that. They added a lot of talent this offseason. They had a lot of young players. And Sean Marks is a guy who knows how to run that team. They got a coach in the front office that are kind of on the same page, and they want to win games with young guys, and they got better people there. And I think that's why it's even a better move to get off that pick, because that pick I don't think will be worth as much as that Lakers, Sixers, Kings pick. I'm not 100% sure about that one because there's like a lot of qualifications there, but like that pick I think has a much better chance of being a good pick than this Brooklyn pick. And you
Much
get off
better
of Isaiah,
chance.
who you I think so. Yeah, I think the Sixers. I guess the Sixers. I don't know. The Sixers rely so much on health. Who knows? And I think that's a Sixers Kings pick. I believe. I don't know if the Lakers are involved in that anymore.
It's
Uh,
the Lakers pick next year,
it's the Lakers. It's the Lakers
unless
pick next year.
well, it's the Lakers pick next year if it falls in between 2 and 5. If it doesn't fall in between
Okay.
2 and 5, then it turns into the Kings pick the following year,
Gotcha.
unless it's number 1. Then it turns into
Gotcha.
the Philly pick, if I get that right.
All right. So I'm willing to play those odds. I like those odds a little more than whatever the Brooklyn pick gets you next year. And plus, what more? What like you already fleeced Brooklyn enough. Like what more can you get from this? Like Brooklyn, like you already got Tatum, you already got Brown out of it. You're gonna add a third rookie to that thing? Nah. Give me Kyrie Irving, man. I'm good. I don't need none of that. And you guys you have like a Memphis pick, and Memphis is gonna be like trash. Like there's still other picks that y'all still
Mm,
have there stashed away to like
that
do stuff with. So
that Memphis pick is like ridiculously protected though.
everything
Uh,
is protected. All right. Well, I'm
like
glad they did that because maybe they looked in the future and they're like, you know what? 6 years from now, we still might have Mike Conley and Marcus Gasol. We'll still not be able to win though. But well, let's make sure we protect that. Either way, though, I think it's a great trade on the Boston side. I mean, just you got so if you go down the line, like anytime you get the best player out of the trade, I'm always in favor, and that's why I like this trade so much for Boston. But there's so many other factors to it. One, the Brooklyn pick, which I don't think is going to be as good as it's been at least in the past years. I mean, it was number 1 pick, so I don't think it'll definitely be that point because I think Brooklyn will be a better team. I don't really know much about Zizic. I like the little bit I saw about him, but whatever. I mean, that's somebody you got to get rid of. Jay Crowder, that's a win, man. Like I'm so tired of seeing that guy brick wide open threes from the corner. Deuces, man. Overrated defensively in my eyes. And you get rid of Isaiah Thomas, who, from an emotional fan base perspective, that's really hard, man. Like that's tough, man. Like I get that. From a basketball perspective, I don't think he could have the year he had last year. I think last year was just the efficiency level he had. I think is almost unachievable again. Hopefully, I'm wrong for his sake. But I would not feel comfortable paying that guy the max contract, which he was talking about, and bringing out the Brinks trucks and all that. I'm good, bro. Give me Kyrie on the contract for 2 years. Deuces, man. A guy who's actually done it, proven it, won in the finals over Isaiah Thomas. I am 100% in favor of everything Boston did over there. And I'm very curious to see what the next move is because I still think there's another move. If not this summer, we're kind of running out of time. Maybe in the middle of next year or next summer. Danny Ainge is definitely showing a propensity for turning the roster over, to say the least.
Yeah.
So I like the move from the Boston side.
I agree with everything, almost everything you said. Basically, I don't, I don't think that. Like, listen, like I love Isaiah Thomas. I love what he did. I think it's messed up, like how everything went down. Um, but I mean, if we're going to be honest in terms of just like the business perspective type of, um, if you're looking at it that way, it's that's got to be the move unless you plan on paying Isaiah, the max amount of money. So
Yeah.
if you're not planning on that, then now's the time to trade him, because otherwise, yeah,
Let me
you
ask you
have.
this. Let me ask you this. And this is the barometer where all trades should be held. If Bill Belichick were running the Celtics, would he make that move?
Yeah, probably.
There you go.
Uh,
Case
but
case closed right there. If
but
if the
yeah,
hoodie's cool with it, then I'm cool with it.
look, yeah. So like either if you don't trade him, then and you don't plan on signing him, then you just have him for all this year and then let him walk. At least
Yeah.
now you're
Right.
getting Kyrie, and this is something that I want to bring up that I've heard so many people talk about. Like, oh, there's so much turnover, and Boston's, but they only have 11. They lost 11 out of 15 players. They lost 4 out of 5 of their starting
Yeah.
lineup. They're going to be, they're probably going to be worse next year or something like. I've heard things like that, or we won't be as good as next year. Listen, uh, I will admit, in fact, I fully expect Boston to get off slow this year. In terms of the beginning of the season, I think they
Makes
play
perfect sense.
500 basketball until at least December, maybe even the All Star break. Like I think they
Yeah.
play like maybe just a little bit over 500 until
Yeah.
everybody figures everything out. But in terms of just pure like the roster, it's so much better. It's not even close to how much better
Not even
it is
close.
this year. And I looked at I pulled up the roster from last year just as a reminder to see the difference, and it's incredible just how far that
Y'all was
team
starting
got.
Gerald Green in the first round to win a playoff series. Just think about that.
Well, it's
Now you're like, oh man, we might have to start Jason Tatum. Oh, like, come on, man. It's not even
I
close.
yeah I gotta reach you this list because I think even you're gonna be like, wow, like I didn't realize it was that bad. Like,
All right.
I
I
cannot
know
believe
Eddie
this
House was
team.
still on the team.
I cannot believe this team won 53 games, and I cannot believe this team got to the conference finals. And obviously, they got blown out most of the games, but still, it's incredible that this team got so far. So last year,
Yeah.
Avery Bradley, of course, obviously good player. It was sad to see him go, but that had to happen in terms of just contract wise. Like, we had to make a decision whether it was going to be Bradley, IT, or Smart. And Ainge felt like Smart fit the timeline and had the most potential, so kept Smart. But that's neither here or there. Just going over the
Right.
roster right now: Jaylen Brown, Jay Crowder, who just recently got traded, Gerald Green, who you just talked about, Al Horford, who's still there, Demetrius Jackson, who could not save his job by playing good in summer league. He played terrible in summer league this year. Jonas
Yeah.
Jerebko, who is now in Utah. Amir Johnson.
That's right. Yeah. Amir
Uh,
Johnson, man. I'm going to pull one out for Amir Johnson. You're a great Celtic. Great 2 years.
Jordan Mickey, who I don't even know if he's
All right. He's in
signed with
Miami.
anyone right now. Oh,
Got
he's in
picked up by
Miami.
Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, last week.
Kelly Olynyk, Terry
Oh,
Rozier.
well, he won y'all at Game 7, so, I mean, he did his
Yeah.
part.
Well, he hit wide open shots, so I mean that's what he's supposed to
Hey, that's something, man.
do.
Hey, Jay Crowder, he'd still be there if he could hit him.
Terry Rozier, who's still on the team. Marcus Smart, who's still on the team. Isaiah Thomas obviously just got traded. James Young, who he's so young.
Oh,
He's 22. He's still only 22. I don't know what his
he's
deal
still
is.
only 22, yo.
I've heard it feels like he's been on the Celtics forever, or he was. I've heard he has problems in terms of like he goes out and parties too much. I don't know how true that is, but I don't know. He's not on the roster anymore. I guess they gave up on him. And Tyler Zeller was the last person on that team. Think about that. Like, think of
Oh,
that turnover.
yeah,
Like, you heard those names.
yeah.
That team would never have competed for a championship ever. Like, it just would have
Nope,
never happened. Um,
nope.
and that turnover is needed. The
And
starting
now we're
lineup.
talking about rolling out. Now we're talking about rolling out Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, like real NBA players. Yeah, man. Marcus Morris, like, yeah. I don't care if you change 11 out of your roster spots. If you change them for the better, Brad's teams will definitely make sure they figure out how they play. But I think, like you said, it'll definitely be a little bit slow coming out of the gate. Just because guys got to get used to each other and they got to develop roles and all that jazz. And I think that's normal. We've seen that. Even that great like Heat team when LeBron got down there, I think they were like 8-8 or something like that the first 16 games. That shit happens. I'm not too worried about that. I want to see how they're playing in April and May, and I think they'll be pretty damn good. And maybe they'll even be playing in June.
I don't know about that, but I think overall they got better. And even if they don't have as good of a record, or even if they don't even if they, I think it's possible. If the young players don't develop the way as fast as we expect them to, I think it's possible that
Mm-hmm.
you might lose to a Washington team that is a year better. Um, or if the seeds are in a different place, you maybe lose to the Cavs like around early. Like this might not be
Right.
a team that gets to the conference finals again.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because the future is so much better. Like this year, like regardless of that trade, even if we still had IT and Crowder, this team would not have made the finals. With the trade, at least now, the ceiling is so high. The ceiling is high enough where if everything hits right, this could be a team that can make it to the finals and even like give the Warriors run for their money. I think in the next 2 or 3 years, if these players develop the right way, then this team is so dangerous. Like I think the ceiling is so much higher, and it's just such a better team. Like maybe for next year immediately, they might not make it as far, or they won't have as good of a record. But I think that's easily the price you pay for having a way higher ceiling. So
All right, so let's talk about then the team that I imagine you think will be playing the Warriors next year, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers.
yeah,
So they made this trade. Now, at the onset of this, I think it's the best trade they probably could have made.
easily. No, what
Because
other team is
to me,
offering
there's
that?
two. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess there were no other like real like the only one we modestly heard was like Josh Jackson and Eric Bledsoe for like Kyrie. Like that's like I mean it's fine, but it's not really. It doesn't get you this. So this
Yeah,
allows the Cavs to play 2 games here. They play we got Isaiah Thomas, LeBron, so we're still going to compete this year, and he'll be just as good as Kyrie. So we'll be able to do exactly what we did last year. And then they also have the Brooklyn pick, which is when Isaiah and LeBron leave at the end of the year, well, we'll just use this Brooklyn pick and start the rebuilding process. Or they could also, if they really cave in, there's a couple of factors. If LeBron somehow in October comes to training camp and he's like, you know what, man, I'm gonna re-up for like 2 more years. I'm down for what this team did. Then they probably end up trading that Brooklyn pick, I imagine, because they'll probably try to get more pieces to help him out. Or maybe they trade Kevin Love. Like they still have moves that they could make if they're really interested in making. But I think this trade gives them a lot of versatility. It gives them win now, and it gives them versatility for the future, which may or may not work out. But that's a risk you have to take. That's just how life works in the NBA. So I think it's good. Personally, though, if I'm a Cavs fan, I would have preferred to just keep Kyrie Irving. But if he had to go, which to me is still an if, but if he had to go, then I think this is the best thing you probably could have came up with.
okay, well, let's just say you keep Kyrie disgruntled and all. What does that really do for you? I mean, I get what you're saying.
Well, listen, man, and maybe it was maybe the relationship was irreversible at that point. But I grab LeBron. I tell him, listen, man, like you better talk to this kid. You better figure out your differences. And y'all grown ass men, like y'all better figure this out. You're both on the contract for 1 more year. We could win a title if we do things right. Figure this out. Like, but maybe it
How
was to the
how
point in
could
that
they win the
relationship where
title
it could
though?
have been figured out. Well, I mean, you could sell them on the fact that they won it 2 years ago, and you could sell them on the fact that last year they almost won that game three, and they would have gone game four, been 2-2. You could sell. You need a certain level of delusion to think that you could actually beat the Warriors. But at worst, if you want to go real realistic, you just tell them, hey man, we'll at least be the second best team, and if Steph Curry rolls his ankle or if Draymond gets suspended, we'll be right there. We got him. Uh, but or maybe you sell them, be like, yo, y'all get your stuff straight. We got this dope deal for Kevin Love. Like, we're gonna trade him. Like, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I would prefer to sit him down and figure this out. Like, bro, I don't know. I don't really. I I guess NBA works a little bit different than real life. But when I work with other employees, which I'm disgruntled with, we better figure it out. Because I just ain't like all of a sudden gonna get traded to like another company. Like, that's not how it works. But the NBA, I guess, plays kind of like a different game. I definitely felt the Cavs I would have held on a little bit there and been like, let me sit down with LeBron. Let me sit down with them. Maybe they did. Maybe they did sit down and they were just because I read a rumor that they like met in Miami or something like that. Maybe they did and they were just like, hey man, like we had a great run. That's it. You go on your way. I go on mine. In that case, so be it. But I'm Cavs management. I tell them you're under 2 more years of contract, Kyrie.
Well,
But I don't blame Kyrie. And let me tell you this: I also don't blame Kyrie for the move. I thought it was a power move, and I think it's really dope that he managed to pull it off.
yeah, I think the
Where he read
best.
the tea leaves and he's like, "Yo, like LeBron's out. Well, I'm out before he's even out. I don't even want to be a part of that. Like, get out
Yeah,
of here. I saw what
the
this organization was before he was here. It was trash. I'm out."
yeah, I think the real winner here is Kyrie in this trade. But um,
Yeah,
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 but
that's
like
that's a fact right there.
to
You're right
to
on that.
to your point, um, I I heard rumors that Kyrie didn't even want to like go to training camp unless he was traded.
Yeah,
That's
he
a
went to
rumor
a
I
training
heard.
game. I heard that they
And
weren't even talking at the finals
yeah,
last
and
year. Let me tell you something, man. You remember when Kobe, man, the Black Mamba, asked to be traded in like '07, '08 or something like that? And he's like, "Yo, I want out. I want to go to Chicago. I want out of here." And then in the middle, they just told him, "Yeah, you're on the contract. You're staying put." And then they brought in Pau Gasol and they won like 2 chips.
yeah,
Like I'm not trading my great players away that quickly just because they're a little bit upset. That's not something I'm interested in. Same thing with like Paul George. Yo, if all I could get is Victor Oladipo and Sabonis, all right, Paul, you start in Indiana. We'll figure it out after that. Uh, I wouldn't
uh,
be that quick on pulling those kind of triggers on things.
that's a very good point. And
But we only know what we hear too. We
exactly,
only hear from
that's the thing. We
hearsay
don't know
because
how
we're not there.
toxic
So it's
that thing
speculation.
was.
Yeah,
And the
I
thing
don't know.
is, I think also another thing that's different than that Kobe situation is Kobe was the guy. He was the cornerstone. Kyrie,
He
although
was,
he's a
yeah.
great player, he's not the cornerstone. LeBron is. So they're thinking, hey, ultimately, what's the most important thing for this franchise? If we can somehow get LeBron back, you know, or if
Yes.
we can win, this year, which will basically uh, that will achieve the same thing. If you win next year, LeBron's probably coming back, right? Um,
Yes.
so so that's what they're thinking is. So if you go in with a disgruntled Kyrie, like you have no. They've tried to trade Kevin Love. There's been reports of them trying to trade Kevin Love forever. Like he was rumored in that Paul George deal, and it just hasn't worked because they don't have the assets. Now you have the assets, as you mentioned earlier. You have the flexibility. That's the thing about this trade for the Cavs. Although maybe yes, you lose Kyrie, who played wonderfully for you guys. They now have the assets to and the flexibility to do a multitude of things. So like you said, they could either stay put or and when LeBron leaves, they could have a nice young player to draft, or they can package that with someone else, with probably
Yeah.
Love, but anyone else, even so, to get another player in that might make the difference. So
Ship off that Brooklyn pick, Tristan Thompson and Amon Shumpert for DeMarcus Cousins.
there you
Oh,
go. Like, but
bam.
there's so many different things that
There you
they can
go.
do now. Versus
There
before,
are.
the only
Yeah.
option was what, like trade Kyrie maybe and get crap, or trade Love for almost nothing to help you compete with the Warriors. Now,
Whatever. Yeah, just wing players. Yeah.
yeah, now they
Yeah.
have a
Yeah,
chance to
I agree with you on that. I think that's their this was their best move to A, compete this year still, and B, have a future and even flip that pick into something for this year if they go all in for LeBron's final hurrah or something like that. I just man, I'd never let Kyrie walk, man. Like I wouldn't. That's not somebody I'm letting walk out of my door, man. Like
But
I
you don't
don't.
think the Cavs are
And the
better
only
for
good
it?
thing, no, I think the Cavaliers are a worse team
Because
today than they were 3 days ago.
well,
Yeah, I think it's almost it's pretty remarkable to me that they are somehow worse on defense by trading like Kyrie. Like Kyrie is already like pretty poor and doesn't care about defense, but somehow you got somebody who's worse like at defense than him. Like that's pretty impressive. I don't know where Isaiah Thomas's health is. Celtics has been kind of quiet about the whole hip thing. He didn't need surgery, but took like a while to figure out he didn't need surgery. I don't think he's playing or working out. Like I don't really know what that is. I hope it's nothing, and I hope I hope that's it. I hope it's nothing. But if all of a sudden we like find out like he goes to training camp and he ain't playing some preseason games, like, oh, why not? And he's like, I just iced his hip. I don't know. That's not really a good look. I like the addition of Jay Crowder though for as much flack as I give him. I think that's a like the Cavs. Like if we saw one thing last year in the finals was they needed bodies. Like they didn't have bodies. Like you just can't keep running out Richard Jefferson. You damn sure can't put
yep.
LeBron on KD the whole game. So Jay Crowder is another wing body. Like they need five like Jay Crowders if they want to hang with like the Warriors. Like that
Well,
instead of Kyle
they also
Korvers, they need
got
more Jay Crowders.
they also got Jeff Green, so he's another similar type player.
Yeah, yeah, he is, and I hope you kind of get him down. And I listen. Derrick Rose is a backup on the minimum. I think that's a great deal, man. Like call me crazy,
I
but
agree.
that's a good
No,
deal.
it
Yeah,
is. That's a
uh,
fantastic deal. I
yeah,
mean,
I think that's a great deal.
because that's the thing. You have the potential for him to again. He'll most likely never ever be what he was, but he can play. He can give you good minutes. Or good. He can give you very good minutes in a short burst. So
Yeah.
if he's backup point guard, he's playing, I don't know, 20 minutes a game. Those could be a really good 20 minutes. If he accepts his
Yeah.
role the right way. So I think that's really the key there, and him
My
staying healthy, of
favorite part of
course.
the trade, though, poor guy. My favorite part of the trade, though, is this, and I hope it is true. I know for a fact it's true on Isaiah Thomas's side, but I think both of these guys are going to be out for blood next year. And the season starts, I think, with those two teams playing, like the Cavs
Yep.
and Celtics.
Yeah. Yeah.
I cannot wait because I hope Kyrie is just out for blood. Like I'm gonna show y'all what I could do, kind of deal. Like and check me out. I'm dishing out assists to my man Gordon Hayward wide open. Look at him hitting shots, huh? How about that, LeBron? And I know Isaiah Thomas is gonna come in and be like, "Oh, y'all traded me? Y'all traded
Yeah.
me? Like y'all
Yeah.
realize who you traded?" And when they meet in the conference finals, I know Isaiah. Like I cannot wait for those two guys to just clash and what should be a very amazing just battle of like pure willpower. I just hope that they both make it healthy and the whole teams are at that point when we get there. But I great way to start the season over there. It's almost like the NBA knew it was going to happen.
Almost.
You
I mean, it
want to
would
you
have been
want to
a good.
sneak in
It
a
would.
little
It
X
would have been a
Files
good
in
game
there, like
regardless. But the trade made it
little
even
conspiracy
better.
right there. Real man, but I like two guys that I think are going to be hungry to prove everybody wrong. Isaiah has always played with a chip on his shoulder. I think it's also a cool nugget that it was actually the first. They were in the same draft, and Kyrie was the first, and Isaiah was the last
Yeah.
player drafted. That's pretty wild when you go and think about like that kind of happening, and it's A+ for both teams, man. And I give a little bit bigger nod to the Celtics because anytime you get the better player in the deal, I'm always in favor of that.
Well, don't tell the Brooklyn Nets that.
Man, one day, one of these episodes, man, episode 17, we're gonna do a Billy King, Mikhail Prokhorov special in Brooklyn as to what the hell happened, yo. Like how they went from like, yo, we are gonna like compete and win multiple championships here in 5 years to, yo, y'all remember we play basketball here, man? Like this is crazy. Oh
uh,
man, they traded away Brooke Lopez, man. I forgot about that the other day. Poor fella. Great net.
yeah, I was surprised to hear he was like the franchise's leader in like points and something else. I don't know,
Yeah.
rebounds maybe.
He's been
Probably
there
not.
for
Probably
a
not
long
rebounds.
time. No, probably not rebounds. He's taking it far away from those. Never seen so, man. My man's 7 feet, yo. Can't get a board, man. Can't get blocks. Now he's shooting threes. Now he's really not getting any boards. What a disaster, man. God. What a brutal guy to own in fantasy, too. Man. All right. Well, I digress. I'm already going on a tangent over here. But overall, I think we both kind of agree. Probably the best trade that Cleveland could have worked out over here. Good for them short term, good for them long term. And the Celtics make out kind of like bandits as well, even though you think not as much as bandits, but because you wanted to fleece the Cavs entirely. Somehow you wanted
Yeah,
them
of
to give you
course,
Kyrie,
man.
Tristan Thompson, and like Kevin Love for like Isaiah and like James Young and like the Memphis pick and be like, yo, man, it's a good look, man.
I'm
I mean, I'll
always
tell you
up for a good
how
Danny
much I think
Fleece.
they were
Yeah.
close to. Yeah, Danny Fleece. Yeah. I think I'll tell you how good of a trade it was that I was hearing today that it apparently was being held up because the Cavs wanted Tatum as well, and Danny just wouldn't give up Tatum, and eventually the Cavs were like, all right, well, we'll just do this then as well.
See, I think that
And
would have
like
been bad if they gave up
that would have
Tatum.
been too much. I would have been, yeah. Even then, I would have been like, nah, that's a little bit too much, man, because now you're giving away a prop, a future lottery pick, plus your number 3 guy in the draft who could have been number 1. You just traded away to get another pick out of it. So like. At that point, I think you're giving a little bit too much there, and you burn a little bit of much of that future that you spoke of. But this, to me, is kind of a good middle ground between the two.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't dislike the trade. I thought it could have been better, but yeah, it's a good trade. It's a good trade for the Celtics.
More importantly, though, did you hear that 2K R&D going to put Kyrie with a Cavs jersey on, though? They're going to fix that.
With the Celtics jersey, you mean?
With the Celtics. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, with a Celtics jersey on. So they're going to, I guess they haven't shipped like the units or anything out. They said, don't worry, we're going to put a nice coat of green on that.
That's
now, for us that buy the Legendary Edition, we just getting Shaq anyway, so it don't matter.
All right. Well, I don't know, man. Anything else to add? I think we covered pretty much everything.
Nah, I think we nailed it, man. A+ effort right there. A+ effort for you as well on the podcast. We're not going to trade you anytime soon.
All right, cool. Appreciate that.
As I pull out my phone over here and text Danny Ainge, be like, yo, what could I get for Husani though on the load?
All right. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Check out the next episode. And yeah, guess we're going to be signing out.
Deuces.